שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
You may be surprised to see that I'm here. and Michael and Catherine, you're getting kind of the farm team here. But it is a joy to be here with you on this Shabbat. I know many of us enter here in the last number of weeks, churned up, some afraid, concerned. Shabbat gives us a number of different gifts. One is a sanctuary. And this is sanctuary. This is a safe place. This is a place to leave some of the dust behind us and to enter into a time of peace, both in the world but also in our own lives, to enter into a peaceful moment that we can join together here in this sacred space and be able to be in community, a community of diversity, a community that is not always on the same page with each other, but is respectful of each other, that is supportive of each other, and that provides us this blessing of Shabbat. In our community, turn to each other, wish each other a Shabbat Shalom, introduce yourself if you don't know your neighbors. Just let everyone know that they are part of this sacred community of Sukkot Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. As Hinei Matov, how good it is and how sweet for us to be gathered together in oneness. One. And page 10 at the top, join in singing these words ascribed to David. How good it is and sweet for brothers, for sisters, for a community to be joined together in unity, in oneness. In your prayer books, if you'll turn back to page 2, Eve Williams will lead us in welcoming Shabbat with the lighting of the candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We turn to page 20. Welcoming Shabbat, the Sabbath bride, the Sabbath queen, again joining together in a creation of a unity of the oneness. We'll sing together the refrain at the top, Lecha Dodi, and then 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the verses.
Lecha Dodi, likrat halah, b'nei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat halah, b'nei Shabbat nekabla.
We turn to page 28. The formal part of the service begins calling us to worship, calling us to be in this place and in this sacred time. On page 28, if you're comfortable standing, we rise. Page 31 at the bottom of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Blessed is the one who brings on the evening. We turn to page 34 and 35. Hear, O Israel, Adonai our God. Adonai is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We'll join together in these English words, a creative translation of the Vahafta by Julie Silver.
Love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And these words which
Thus you shall remember and observe all my commandments, and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn to page 40. We're about to celebrate Passover, Pesach, in just a week and a half less, the 12th. So we observe that celebration, that holiday, to tell a story, continuing to tell that story each and every generation. And part of that story is the exodus from Egypt, being free from slavery, leaving Egypt, even though Pharaoh and his army continued to chase the Israelites on their way to the Sea of Reeds. And as we imagine those Israelites standing at the shore of the sea, seeing and hearing the chariots and armies of Pharaoh behind them, they looked out at the Sea of Reeds and wondered, how will we ever get through this? And sometimes we feel like we are standing at the shore of a sea, and we wonder how we will ever get through this. And the Israelites together walked into the water, and the waters miraculously parted. They walked on dry land, came to the other shore, and recognized the miracle that just happened to them, and they sang this song on page 40. Let it remind us that even when we feel we will not get through this, we will. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael, blessed is the one who redeems Israel. And on page 43 at the bottom, give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your Sukkot Shalom, your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. We turn now to Tefillah, the Amidah. On page 47, Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote this: prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. Page 46, we all stand if you're comfortable doing so. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. On page 46 together. 48. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Ha'akol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Bi'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Page 50 at the bottom, let's read together. You are forever mighty Adonai. You give life to all. You cause the wind to shift and rain to fall. You sustain love through love, giving life to all. Through great compassion, supporting the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in dust. Who is like you, source of mighty acts, who resembles you, sovereign, who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up and faithfully giving life to all. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye Hakol. And on page 52, you are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. At the top of page 55, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Blessed is the Eternal One who sanctifies Shabbat. We turn to page 253 in prayers of healing and well-being for all those who seek that blessing of the divine healing, but of the community's healing as well. Misha Beirach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah Hu Yavarech v'Yirapeh Ekoch HaChalim. May the one who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless, heal, comfort all those who are ill, all those who seek support and comfort and love. If you have names you wish to share, please share them now.
Jamie Schwartz.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim, blessed is the one who heals the sick. On page 253.
Mekor habracha le'il
Let's pause now for the prayers of our own hearts.
Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki Adon Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Ki Ata Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'chol rit ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Catherine, thank you. My eyes aren't all that great anymore. Seeing all the way back, is my cherished colleague, Rabbi Haken, here by any chance? No, okay. The reason I ask is because Rabbi Haken is living in Evanston right now temporarily and is my colleague of 50 plus years. She was 3. And I'm thinking right now of the fact that in all the years of my early rabbinate, for the first 20 years of my rabbinate, I never would have spoken about anti-Semitism. For those first 20 years, from 1980 until more or less 2000, I really believed that there was no anti-Semitism in America, and I would have argued that. Certainly no institutional anti-Semitism. That the old anti-Semitism had died. That every opportunity institutionally was open to the Jews of America. That there may have been some underneath dislike, even hatred of Jews, but institutionally, what once was a very limited society for Jews had now opened up completely. Socially, universities, law firms and banks and other corporations, neighborhoods, and Robert Putnam, who wrote Bowling Alone, said that some of that, even the social stuff of country clubs and neighborhoods, faded away because of intermarriage. That you would have an Aunt Sarah and an Uncle Christopher, and it would be very difficult to have a family broken up in that way. In American history, up until that point, I would have said that there was only one Jew in all of American history who was ever killed because he was Jewish. and that was Leo Frank in 1919. Up until 1999, that was true, until an attack on a JCC in Granada Hills, LA, took place. But we know that all that has changed. Even the march that never happened in Skokie in 1977 was not by institutional establishment of America. It was an outlier. It was anomalous. It was not accepted by what was institutional leadership. All that changed, basically, with Charlottesville. We can tie it to that moment and that event. That march of neo-Nazis saying Jews will not replace us was an expression of the grand replacement theory that was that Jews were behind the attempt to destroy America by replacing white America with these other immigrants. Jews were not the ones who were doing were not the replacement, but the ones who were behind the replacement of these caravan invasion. That also could have been rejected by institutional America, but it wasn't. There were good people on both sides. And it was being said by the leader of this country. And the phenomenon of right-wing anti-Semitism was given a sense of being kosher, if you will. And it was accepted. And it grew. It grew then with the ultranationalists, the Proud Boys, the neo-Nazis, the resurgence of the KKK. And the phenomenon that we were dealing with was largely a right-wing anti-Semitism. That's not to say that there wasn't a history of left-wing anti-Semitism, not only in America, but in the world as well. Not denying that at all. I mean, Marxism and the Soviet Union denied the uniqueness of the peoplehood of the Jews. And the 1967 Six-Day War brought about the occupation and then a narrative of liberation theology that played into that, seeing oppression and oppressors. And even anti-Israel and anti-Zionism didn't really bleed over into anti-Jewishness, anti-Jewish. It was located, what could be wrong, but it was basically located as anti-Zionism, not Jew hatred. And then we get to October 7th. Again, things changed. And October 7th became a Rorschach test. Jews saw it, rightly, as trauma, mass murder, kidnapping, raping, atrocities. And Israel's response, certainly initially, seemed justified, not as revenge, but a military attempt to destroy Hamas. So it appeared to Jewish eyes. But quickly, after the very first days, October 8th, Israel became demonized. And the attitude changed, and the words of genocide and mass murder became common. And as you know, the universities erupted. First, probably with Columbia, and then expanding throughout the country, and I should say, into Europe as well. there were legitimate protests about Israel's activities. There were legitimate protests in terms of defending the people of Gaza and the Palestinians. And again, it was located largely on anti-Zionism. But it did quickly bleed over into Jew hatred, including the Jews who were on those same campuses. We saw it not only at Columbia, we saw it at Northwestern and at University of Chicago and DePaul, certainly on the West Coast, in all those places, and it became a key event in American life. And most of the time, those protests were legitimate, certainly sincere, many people, but at times, again, it became violent, full of intimidation, unsafe for Jews. There were the encampments and the masking, and there were outsiders who did not belong on those campuses. There were classrooms that were invaded and libraries. There was verbal and physical abuse and intimidation, and it was frightening. Franklin Foer, in the Atlantic this past week, wrote about Columbia's anti-Semitism problem. Foer is, and the Atlantic, progressive people and writers and a magazine. But his description of what was going on at Columbia was very real. Having said that, there are legitimate ways of dealing with that. Universities can deal with those events. Columbia chose to use outside police force, and that exacerbated the national revolt against the universities. But colleges have power. They can suspend students, they can expel students, they can withhold diplomas. All universities and colleges have their own internal police force. They can protect other students. There is plenty of criticism of university administrators here in Evanston as well. But I do not envy any of those administrators the real problems that they have to deal with. The problems of anti-Semitism and the reaction against these protests as well. But there is another reaction taking place right now that we're seeing. And it should truly concern us. As I titled this sermon, "With Friends Like These." There are those who are twisting this fight against anti-Semitism into a political wedge issue, justifying policies that threaten basic American freedoms and democratic principles. American Jews must not allow ourselves to be manipulated and exploited as an excuse for despotic actions. American Jews have thrived in this country because of three basic freedoms, three guarantees. One, the rule of law. Two, the Constitution, especially the First Amendment. And three, education, public and private opportunities for higher education at the elite institutions that are in many ways unique to this country. But under the guise of fighting anti-Semitism, those three basic principles are now under attack. The Heritage Foundation says that anti-Semitism can be blamed on, quote, a cabal of Israel haters, American haters, and Jew haters. And the Heritage Foundation is exploiting those sentiments to try to get support for their much larger agenda. There are at least two right-wing organizations within the Jewish world, the Canary Mission and Batar USA, that are supposedly defenders and protectors of the Jews of America, but are attempting to criminalize and deny legal protections to those protesting Israeli actions in Gaza and the West Bank. Some of those protests may go very, very far and be beyond what makes us comfortable, a rhetoric that we might not choose. Some praising Hamas, much of it demonizing Israel. But you would hear similar radical rhetoric tomorrow night on the streets of Tel Aviv by 500,000 Israelis protesting their government's actions. I promise you that 10% of the Israeli population are not anti-Semites. But they're there using that same critique. The Canary Mission people try to identify anti-Zionist activists, and I don't think I'm outing anyone, but our own Jimmy Rothschild has been attacked by them because of his activities in Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now. And they go further. They are now claiming pridefully that they identified Rumeysa Öztürk from Tufts University, who was more or less disappeared. You saw the video of her being taken on the corner sidewalk because she wrote an op-ed at the Tufts student newspaper. Even though she has an F1 student visa, ICE took her without a warrant, arrested against judges' orders, and she is being held in a detention center in Louisiana, and no one is quite sure where. The most well-known case is that of Mohammed Khalil, Columbia University graduate student, who was the spokesman for much of the Columbia protest and was doing much of the negotiation with the administration. He has a green card. He's married to an American citizen who was 8 months pregnant. ICE took him with no warrant, no due process, and no legal authority to do so. It's interesting reading 3 journalists right now, M. Gessen, Julia Yaffe, and Anna Applebaum in the New York Times, in Puck, and in the Atlantic. They are 3 journalists who lived under communist and Soviet and Putin's rule. They've seen this before, and they are warning us. They've seen the KGB and Stasi, how people disappeared in Chile and in Argentina, white panel vans pulling up and a masked policeman coming in and capturing people and taking them away. We Jews also know what it's like to live with fear, with our doors broken in, and without our rights. Thankfully, many in the Jewish community are reacting and protesting. The Jewish Community Relations Council, Jewish Community Relations Council, the Religious Action Center of the Reform Movement, National Council of Jewish Women, Truah, have all raised their voices to organize in the Jewish community. The ADL, which initially was at best offering tepid support for those who were for Khalil, has now changed its view and is now arguing for the rights of basic the, I'm sorry, the basic, the due process rights that are being denied him. So ADL has come out now in favor of providing the rights that have been taken away. But we must not allow the fight against anti-Semitism to justify acts which are contrary to our own interests. As I said, the rule of law, the First Amendment, both separation and freedom of speech, and higher education. Those with memories know that part of the right-wing agenda in America, since the 1950s certainly, was the destruction of the elite universities and colleges. From the time of McCarthy to Nixon and Agnew, none of that is new. The right has had the goal to destroy the Ivies, Northwestern, Chicago, Stanford, and so forth. And I would suggest that that act itself is anti-Semitic. Because while if the First Amendment ensured our rights of speech and religious freedom, higher education in those elite institutions guaranteed our success in America. So many of us here are here today because of those elite private and public universities and colleges. And add to that the research centers and the NIH and NEA and NEH. They want to destroy all of that. And they are trying to use us as a justification. We must not be pawns to that anti-democratic, despotic chess game. Next Saturday night, we'll celebrate Pesach at our Seder and our Haggadah. And we know that the Haggadah says over and over again, we were slaves in the land of Egypt, and therefore know what it feels like to be a slave. We were strangers in a strange land. We were outcasts. We were demonized, and therefore always fight against those tendencies, not just for us, but for others. We know what it was like in Egypt to live under the hands of the whims and capriciousness of a false god. We know what it means to be guaranteed the rights of law, of free speech, of welcoming the stranger, of living with dissent, of living with free expression. That has been our blessing in this nation. It has also been a core of the values of Jewish history and life. For that has been our great protection. Let us not be manipulated and used by those who would be happy to see our loss of power, but who think that they can use us as their pawns in this effort that may well be destructive of all we care about. Let us not buy in to that seduction. Anti-Semitism is a danger, but there are greater dangers of the misuse of anti-Semitism as an excuse. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with the Aleinu on page 282. If you're comfortable standing, we rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, La tekedu la liotzer breshit, shehu note shamayim v'yoser aretz, u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim mimal, u'shchinat uzov megov he meromim, hu Eloheinu einod, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. On page 287, V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we recall especially those whose yortzites, anniversaries of death, occur during this time and during this season, those whose more recent death of these past 30 days is keenly felt by all of us. Together as a community, we recall the beloved memories of Cindy Pritzker, Ronald Greenspan, Stephen Komar, Lynn Nelson, Joseph Lazar, Leah Matic, Ira Stone, Jonathan Reeder, Nancy Jacobs, Renee Kluger-Subrin, Marie Smerling, Ruth Ann Myers, Alvin Barnett, Jeanette Catton, Pearl Middleman, Sherwood Woody Swern, Bernard Hall, Seymour Hollop, Fred Stevens, Joseph R. Shaker, Marion Backman, Rosabelle Dunn, Margot Gold Saunders. Others' names you wish to share?
Rick Wasserman.
Judy Orwich. Fran Orwich. Ellen Gillespie. Fran Casey
Zecher Tzadikim Livracha, may the memory of the righteous be an abiding blessing. Together on page 294, we say, Yikadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yamad, Yivrach, Yutei, Yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon, Uvyomechon, Uvchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Vizman Kari Vimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mevarach Leolam Amei Amaya. Yiparach, Yishtabach, V'ar V'tramam V'tnasei, V'tadar V'alev V'thalal, Shemei D'Kudushav Barichu, Leila Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nechamata, Dat Miram Bialma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mamav, Huya Aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the source of peace grant peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated. It says here announcements. Well, I want to thank Michael and Catherine for leading us in services tonight. Thank you so much. But I also want to let you know that Lee Thompson Lyons-Wright was born this past week. And so Kenny is not here for good reason. But I think everyone is doing well. Next week, as you know, Pesach starts on Saturday. May it be a sweet, wonderful Pesach for all of you. Scott, I don't know if there are any announcements you want to make. Scott's in here? No? So, and Julie? So, let's take Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat Shalom, may it be a Shabbat of peace. May this next week bring us to a Pesach of healing, of sweetness, of joining together as we celebrate and as we learn from each other, as we continue this long story, this long narrative that has gone through many changes over time and continues to inspire us as we go forward. Shabbat Shalom.